Hi everyone, can you hear me at the back? Great. So I'd like to just say thank you for your time and being here today. One of the messages I'd like to get across is get lost. It's the best way to find yourself. And today we live in this crazy new world with many opportunities. So I'm just going to give you a little quick intro to me, and then we'll take it from there.
Radiated lifestyle.
I'm speaking to Gavin Sinclair.
New Central Station.
Gavin Sinclair then.
Writing stories about Gaven Sinclair is sitting in the studio with us. He cycled alone across the entire continent of Africa for charity.
Ek het vir Gaven Sinclair in die atelier hier ook aan my Gavin. Welcome to Channel 7.
Gaven Sinclair. Hi Gavin, welcome back.
I do what I do because I hope to inspire and to motivate people out there to believe in that you are able to achieve whatever you set your mind to, and to pursue your dreams no matter how crazy they may be. I suffer with my own chronic disease. I've got ADD and dyslexia. I'm not always positive. Every day I have to focus and to motivate myself and to be positive. I'm an extreme endurance adventurer, solo and supported. I have been doing fundraising for the last 6-7 years. I started doing what I was doing because I just wasn't fulfilled in my life. I wasn't happy. I wasn't in a job that was inspiring me. I felt very disconnected. So I just needed to inspire myself again, and I needed to do something for a big cause, and specifically for humanity, and I believe that was my calling. So when I come across obstacles, I just look at it from a point that it's just really an obstacle for me. It's not a challenge, it's not a problem, and I find a solution to it. And I believe you should always find a solution to something, be flexible, and always be positive about whatever is happening in your life, whether it's positive or negative.
Okay, so we've gone through quite a lot in the last few years in terms of the disruptions in industry, AI, automation, machine learning, big data, and of course currently the pandemic that we've gone through. 100,000 years ago we started to develop communication. Today the fourth cognitive revolution is the internet. Isn't it incredible, the internet, how amazing and how exciting times we live in. We have the opportunity to connect with anyone around the world. And the interesting thing is, as much as we are so connected, we might seem to feel disconnected at times. So, one of my messages, we must seek discomfort in times of transformation. I give up freely what no longer serves me to make space for what inspires me. Please take note of that backpack that used to weigh between 15 and 25 kilograms depending on which day and what stage I was on. So in 2017 I decided I needed to make a change. I was disconnected, I felt toxic. I wasn't happy with who I was, what I was doing in life. Now, I decided to do something very radical. I sold my car, gave up my apartment, I paid off all my debts, and I paid all my expenses for the next few months in advance. Why? Through all that, I had 38 Rand in my back pocket. That's all I had left after doing all that. Now, that might not seem like a great investment to your management, by no chance. That's not an investment. But in 2017, I decided to borrow a bicycle and get bits and pieces from people, and I decided I was going to get on a bicycle and cycle solo, unsupported, from Cape Town to Cairo. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that on that extreme level, I might as well do it for a good cause. So I approached Missing Children in South Africa, and I decided to sign up with them as an ambassador and to raise funds and awareness on my Cape to Cairo. So I went to sponsors, bike shops, I went to certain apparel places, I went to magazine editors to ask them if they'd like to cover my story. They all said no, they don't know who I am, have I ever done something like this before, what's the guarantee that I will complete it. So the one editor of Bike SA basically said to me on the phone, well, you know what, when you're done and you've done it, call me up and I'll cover the story. Which I said, no problem, I'll call you when I'm done. So anyway, I didn't get the support I was hoping for, and I just decided I've got to do it. I went to the local radio station on that day. It was raining, and I announced publicly that I was going to cycle to Cairo. And if you had seen me that day, and that day, by the way, it happened to be raining, if you saw me with my bicycle, my bits and bobs, and sticky tape and things that I just taped together, you would have probably thought, you are not even going to get down the road, but you are not going very far looking like that. So anyway, but there was one thing I had. It was belief, self-confidence, and I did know one thing. Whatever it took, I was going to take that 1 millimeter shift, one pedal at a time, but I will get to Cairo, no matter what it takes. Even if it kills me, I will get there. So when I started my ride, I started crying afterwards when I waved my goodbyes with my brave face coming out of the radio station, headed down the road, wet, miserable, and I just thought to myself, I told publicly everyone I was going to cycle to Cairo on a bicycle. So I guess I've got to go to Cairo on a bicycle. All right, so I shed a few tears, got over it, and while I was cycling around on the main highway towards Somerset West, somebody honked, stopped, put down the window, and they handed me $50. I was like, okay, you know what? It's okay. I had 38 in my pocket, now I've got an extra $50. I can do this. I think I can do this. And the little message in that is, take a leap of faith, because everything will open up. Those doors will open to you. Those opportunities, the universe, God, karma, whatever you want to call it. You've got to just take sometimes a leap of faith and just take that step forward. And everything else will fall into place. And sometimes you don't need to have everything figured out or have the most fanciest bike with the most fanciest equipment to do what you need to do. It's all in the head. It's all about believing in yourself. So, Darwin's theory, I think we got it a little bit wrong. Survival of the fittest. It's not about physical strength at all. In fact, in the animal kingdom, he was referring to social intelligence, cooperation amongst each other as animals to secure the future of their tribe or species. Now, I would imagine that's the same with human beings, right? That's the same principle. Strength is not about physical. It's about humanity, networking, the relationship, the connection, and love. But it's really about humanity at the end of it. So, as you know, now I'm cycling. I'm on my way to Cairo. And of course, I get to Amanus initially, and I begged the local reporter, please can you do an article in your local newspaper? And he said, yes, he will. So anyway, the next day I left Amanus, carried on up the east coast of South Africa, and every day I phoned this reporter, asking him, have you published my article? And I think it was 3 weeks later, this guy thought, I'm going to have to do it, because this guy is going to not, he's going to carry on, you know. So that's when the media started to get involved. And then they started to hear about this story, this crazy Mzungu with $38 in his pocket is going to Cairo, right? And then the media got involved and everybody started to cover my story as I went along. And they're going, check this guy, he's actually doing it. I had a bicycle that was too small for me. I never had half the stuff I needed, and of course I had $38 in my pocket. I got to Port Elizabeth, the guy gave me a brand new bike from the bike shop, and we took my old one and we donated to somebody in the township. So it's all about that. There's a similar articulation in everything you do. So now I've got a little bit more bucks, the media's following me, and I've got a brand new bike, and it's the right size. That is cool. I'm feeling good. Interesting story about humanity. Now, I'm in Mozambique. This is north of Gorongosa, which is on the top, basically just before you enter Malawi. And on this specific stage, I didn't realize it, but I think I noticed that I wasn't getting where I should be in the right time. And I was probably about 35 to 40 kilometers to where I should be, but the sun was going down. And this guy, I think his name was Raphael, I'm not sure. He saw me, he decided to stop. And by the way, he had just come back from a holiday, and his car was full of friends. And of course, you can see on the top, my bicycle is up there, and he's got all his stuff in there. So he decided to stop and see, what is this Mzungu up to? And he wanted to hear what was my story. So I told him, I'm on my way to Cairo. So he lives in the town up the road. So he realized that I was going to run out of daylight. And he said to me, look, you're actually not going to make it. The sun's going down. Can I take you to where you're going? And I agreed. We shook hands, and his friend took this photo. So little did he know, nor did I know, when I got to the town and I was booked into the eco campsite at Gorongosa camp, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, naked, literally, and I ran out of my tent, and I was just projectiling from every orifice. I was so sick. So I thought, okay, that's malaria. I've got malaria. So I had malaria festering in me for about a week and a half, and I didn't know this. And on that day, I had zero cadence, and I was literally pedaling, but I really wasn't even going forward without me realizing. I don't know if you've had malaria, but yeah, you do not have a lot of energy. A week and a half, flat on the bed, dealing with this, taking medication, people looking after me. So, interestingly, humanity, and this guy didn't know it, that he actually probably saved my life. And nor did I know that I had malaria. And it was just one kind gesture. A guy stopped, wanted to know my story, and he picked me up, and that was probably a life-changing experience for me as well. So I was very grateful for that. So, strength does not come from winning, but from our struggles. In life, it's all about when you're going through hardships, through personal or through your business. It is about you deciding to still charge and soldier through all those hardships. That's what makes a winner, through our struggles. So what it takes to be a professional adventurer and the benefits of an infinite-minded perspective. So, to be a professional adventurer, I guess like being a top consultant, it's really about your mindset. It's really about, what you believe in. And the benefits of an infinite-minded perspective is really simple. It's about being fully in the present, being fully present, and being able to deal with any surprises that come along the way and any obstacles. It's really about just being creative and being positive about no matter what obstacle is presented in front of you. And of course, in life, personal or business, reverse engineer your finish line. What that means is sometimes, although they say you must focus on the end result, on your goal, it is also important to focus on exactly putting one foot in front of the other. So sometimes it's not about focusing on the end result in terms of, I've got to get over the mountain. It's about focusing on just taking those few steps just to get to the mountain. Point is, if you're dealing with things in your life that's tough, don't look at the whole picture, as we know. Just break it up into modules or just put them into stages. Give you an example. When I was preparing myself mentally for Cape to Cairo, do you know how I did it mentally? It took me 1 second, maybe 2 seconds to prepare. I just said to myself, I'm not cycling to Cairo. Isn't that cool? So every day I'm riding 150 kilometers, pretty much all day, going through whatever extremes I'm dealing with, And when I get to my end of the day stage, you know, I could think to myself, oh my God, I've still got another 12,300 kilometers to go. I think you might lose it a little bit. I think it could be a bit hard. But if you looked at it as every day, I'm just doing one day, having the best time of my life. I'm not even thinking about I'm going to Cairo, and I just do this for 9 months. What a joy. I had the most incredible time. I met the most incredible people along the way. And just by the way, going back to humanity, I never got to Cairo by myself. I got there because people helped me along the way. It was about people. It wasn't about me. Sure, I was physically doing it, but I'm telling you, I would not have gotten there without people's help along the way. That's what it's about. Teamwork, support, network, and connections. So now I did Cape to Cairo. Hold on, let me just take you back a moment. I forgot to tell you. In 2016, I decided to move away from my job and obviously got rid of a whole lot of stuff, paid up all my accounts and stuff in advance, got on the bus, rode to Cairo, took me 9 months. I did get there, by the way. And then, of course, I got back and I thought, that was a rush. That was so cool. I need to do that again. I need to do something. So clearly by now, some bug has bitten me. And I hope it's not malaria again. And the following year, I decided I'm going to run 4,000 kilometers solo unsupported through 3 African countries. South Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, and back down the west coast of South Africa again. Okay. Solo unsupported, what does that mean? It means you've got no backup, you've got no car, you've got nobody watching you, nobody looking after you, nobody carrying all your reserves or your nutrition or water. Going back to that backpack you saw, I used that and I ran with that on my back. That was it, just me and my backpack. Every day I had to decide what was I going to do, what was the terrain like, my logistics, how far was I going to go, how much food, how much nutrition did I need to get to each stage. And of course you can imagine Cape to Cairo, running through Africa, you sleep in the most interesting places. And some of them, you sometimes don't think you'll wake up the next day alive. So I slept in police stations, in campsites, in villas, in hotels, in drains, along the beach, on the beach, in the rain on the beach, in my tent. I've done it in every single place you can imagine, every day. So you can imagine, came to Cairo for 9 months, every night you've got to sleep. The biggest challenge for me on Cape to Cairo, it was sleep deprivation. That was the most. Of course, I went through lots of things like stomach bugs, dehydration, sunburn, all the things you can imagine I've dealt with. So, again, I'm doing this run for a good reason, a good cause. I'm doing it for missing children in South Africa to raise funds and awareness for them. It took me 7 months to run 4,000 kilometers through Africa. This is just a little bit of a clip. You can watch that. Let's continue. So running through Africa took me 7 months to get to where I needed to go. And there were many times when I woke up every day going, what the hell am I doing? I'm crazy. I'm not going to get through this. But you know what? I did get through it. And it's because of people that I met along the way, and their stories were so incredible. Their stories were more interesting than my stories. And I just met the most magical people because I took that leap of faith forward, and everything just came into my path. It was unreal. I really had the most incredible time, very blessed. And this is I got the guys in Namibia. One of my stages, I ran through Namibia, Sources Play, Death Valley. And parts of this is you're running barefoot in the early hours of the morning. And this was filmed by a media company in Swakopmund. So that's pretty much what I look like for 7 months. And of course, I would alternate between barefoot, I was on the beach, or shoes. Okay, so now I've done a cycle, I've done a run, I'm clearly high, and I'm loving this, and I've done 2 successful extreme solar unsupported challenges for a good cause. What should I do next? So the manager of Coral Lodge, one of the marketing managers, called me up out of the blue saying, do you want to come swim from Ilha de Mozambique Island? In a few days or few weeks they are going to be hosting, Ilha de Mozambique was the first capital of Mozambique. They're doing a whole big thing, and would you like to come and swim from the island to the mainland? Now I can't swim, I don't swim. In an Olympic pool, in fact, if I just get to the end, that's it. If you watch me in a pool, I literally just make more commotion than actually going forward. I don't swim, I'm not a good swimmer at all. So instinctively, and I just said yes, I'll do it. I'm coming. In the ocean, they said, oh, just by the way, there are sharks, warm water, and they just thought I was this, this very fit person that could also swim. I think they assumed this. So I said, no problem, I'll do it. So, the following year, 2019, I fly up to one of the capitals, I can't remember now the area, and Club of Mozambique covered the story. I get their STVs there, the national broadcaster with their camera, they got a boat and a Medicon board and all this stuff, and I'm telling you, I did not show it, but I really thought, this is it, Gav, you've really got yourself into trouble. And I'm standing on the edge of the pier, media, people and everything, and I'm like, I can't swim. The boat's there, okay, Gav, come, jump, let's go. Anyway, I dive in off the pier, clapping, and I start swimming for my life. And then, of course, I'm swimming and I'm just thinking, geez, what happens if something just comes from the bottom of me and just takes a bite out of me? That's going to go down well. Well, whatever happens, it will just take me totally. So, Ilha de Mozambique at the top is the island, and I swam to Coral Lodge down there on the mainland. And people ask me, Gav, how do you do this mentally? How do you get through every day these challenges? What motivates you? What drives you? What keeps you positive? And what keeps me positive in life is I always think about other people I've met in my life, or I always think of other people that are going through a much harder time than me in life, because there's always somebody else going through a much tougher situation than us. And we love to play victim. We love to say to us, I'm the victim, it's not cool, I don't like this, I hate that. But the point is, there are other people going through far greater challenges in our lives. So if you can connect to that and tap into that, you can appreciate your own life. And I'll go back to a story. I met this woman in Mozambique, born deaf. Her father passed away, and she developed a tumor through the trauma of her father's death. And she was rushed into hospital. They shaved her hair, and they opened her up and the whole thing. And she showed me a photo of her lying in the bed, doing a thumbs up, and with the biggest smile, and with such optimism. And interestingly, when I started my swim, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die, and then my legs started to cramp up. And you know what? I thought about her. Just her, that image of her in the bed got me through that swim to the end. And that's all I thought about was, you know what? It's not bad. It's not that difficult. It could be worse. I could be swimming in the Antarctica. And I don't do the cold at all. I don't do cold. So that's an interesting thing. Of course, the following year, in 2020, going up to Mozambique, doing my swim, I just fell in love with Mozambique, and I decided I want to run up the coastline of Mozambique solo, unsupported again, with that same backpack. So I ran 388 kilometers in 10 days. And so the strategy here is, as you can see all these cliffs along the way, the environment. So my logistics, what I do is every morning when I woke up, based on how I felt, based on the weather, but then again, you just ran anyway. So the challenges on the beach is it's angular, soft sand, and whatever the weather is, tough. So I would phone the guys up ahead and they'd say, Gav, look, And all the way up along the coastline there are lodges. Okay, so I'll get the coordinates and the kilometers. So if I'm running, and I was averaging about 40 kilometers to 48 kilometers a day with a 10 to 15 kilogram backpack. So then I would basically program in my GPS watch 44 kilometers, go for 44 kilometers, stop, turn left, go over the dune, and hopefully that's where I was going to find my beautiful lodge that I was booked in at. That was most of it. But on one of these occasions, 2-3 days ago, I didn't have power where I was very much off grid, couldn't charge the phone, and I just winged it, I just went for it. And started running. So who can agree with, those days when you wake up and it's going to be a shit day. Everything goes wrong, from spilling your coffee in the morning to everything. You get in your car battery's flat. It's a shit day, embrace it. Okay, so on my run, remembering I don't have my GPS to tell me how far I can run, to stop, to turn left, to go over. So while I'm running, serious headwind, no communication on my phone, soft sand. It was very angular this day. It was just one of those shit days, right? Thinking, why did I get out of bed? So then I decide I need to just keep going over and just checking if I'm at the right place. And I heard voices, and there's lots of bush and stuff. So I go and explore through this to see maybe it's where I should be. So this is what happened. And the reason why I'm filming this, just by the way, is because I didn't know if I'd come back from that, because I didn't know what would happen. You just don't know. Okay, all right. Oh, your house. But I'm looking for the Eco Lodge. Eco Lodge. Right? Just by the way, Europeans pay a premium to stay in these kind of rustic places in Africa. So that was my experience, and everything went wrong. And to continue with that story, I ran up to, so I started running about 8 in the morning, and by 10 o'clock I was still running, pitch dark, and I managed to go up into a little area with the bushes, the wind was still blowing, and the beach sand, and I managed to get a little signal, and I phoned. Then the guys phoned the Eco Lodge, not that Eco Lodge, and they said, look, the manager has lit a torch on a dune, just look for the torch. So I'd overshot my run by 15 to 20 kilometers. Now imagine I've been running all day, I'm so exhausted. So I turned back and I ran back, and there it is, the torch. I got into bed at 11 o'clock that night, finished. So that's, if you have a shit day, just embrace it, because tomorrow's another day. So in 2021, I joined partnership with the Century Wellbeing Program. I've moved from Missing Children South Africa now, and I was blessed and honored to be made ambassador for Century Wellbeing Program and to launch their new program, their wellness program in South Africa, which now has gone international, by the way. So the idea was a PR campaign that I'm going to run solo and supported from Gqeberha to Cape Town along the coast and inland and out where I couldn't, 1,000 kilometers over 30 days, which turned out to be 32 days. So this is a little bit of a clip from this. The Hill to Hill Challenge, 1,000 kilometers from PE to Cape Town. Stage 11, 27 on the beach, very technical, bit of climbing up and down rock, cliff and around. Okay, so what comes by? It's in that direction. It's about 14 to 16 kilometers to go. It's almost 4 o'clock. I'm chasing the sun and the tide, and there's a river mouth that I need to get across. But I must say it's a lot of fun. As much as it's difficult, It's liberating to be out there. It's like you're a sapien. You're the only person on the planet. It's lovely. And just another thing, when you decide to take those leaps of faith in life, and everything will fall into place. I'll tell you two stories. So one of my strategies is when I run, because 1 kilogram or 1 liter of water is 1 kilogram in terms of weight that you're carrying. So the more you carry, the more energy you need to use. So one of my strategies is I usually allow myself to run out of water 10, 15 to 20 kilometers until I get to my stage. And then I use a dry pack like a Gaven powder just to moisturize my lips. Because carrying water in a backpack is very heavy, especially running 40, 50 kilometers on a beach. So the one day I was extremely thirsty, really hot day, and on the beach there it is, this juicy, beautiful orange, just there. Thank you. The juiciest orange I've ever had in my life. Thank you. It helped for a while. Carried on my run. About an hour later, I'm running and I noticed this mineral water bottle with no branding on it, but I know the bottle isn't from here because I haven't seen that in the retail stores. So I'm like, it's on the high wash line. I don't know which ship it came off or what ship it came down from, but I was like, I grabbed this bottle, it hadn't been opened. So I opened it and I just downed it. Look. The sweetest water I've ever had. But before that, I thought, oh my God, just now it's chemicals. Let me just wait a while. I might on a phone, I might not die. But you know what it was? It was mineral water. And the amazing thing is, you get looked after when you're doing those things out there. Things come into your path when you're doing good. It's energy, right? When you put out positive comes back. You will be looked after. And sometimes you don't know if you have an orange, but something will appear. That's the beautiful thing about life and karma. So some of the challenges when you run on the coast, there are river mouths. Some of them are low tide, it's cool. Some I can walk with my bag over my head because of my electronics. And then because I'm so unsupported, there's times where there are huge river mouths and you can't get across them. So I don't think too much about those things when I plan to do these things. I just come up with a plan when I'm confronted with them. So, river mouth. So, I flew back into Cape Town. First day, I start my run. It's raining. I have no raincoat, so I just get a dustbin bag and put it over my head. Make a hole, put it over, and I run like this. Go back. 45 kilometers in the rain. I get to a river mouth. I'm like, okay, that's impossible. There's no one around me. There's no one on the beach. So, the river mouth's over there, so then I decide to start walking around the edges of it. And this is what happens. So no matter what happens, it's always going to be okay. That's the truth. So there's a river mouth there, I couldn't get across it, I've had to walk around. And around there, I met these guys with the boats, and they were taking me up the river and across it, so I get back on this dune, so I can carry on running to Jeffreys Bay. So these guys had just arrived to fish for the weekend, and they were drinking brandy and coke, and they were like jolly on the side of it. And I was like coming, and I thought, who's this crazy Mzungu madman with his backpack? Like, sorry, I'm doing a charity run, and I can't get across. So I guess they were very happy to do their good deed, and they took me across, put me on the dune, and I continued with my run. But when I got to this river mouth, I thought, shit, okay, I don't know, swim, get wet, sulfur, I don't know. Going around, round, and I just didn't know what was going to happen. I come around this corner, here these guys partying, drinking brandy and coke. Like, hey, you want a brandy and coke? I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'll take you. But a moment before, I was stressing out. I didn't know, I didn't have the answer. You don't always need to know everything, have all the answers. So, when you take that leap of faith and get lost, you might just find that a 38 Rand investment can offer a rather lucrative ROI. Okay? So this is what happened when I gave up my job, sold up everything, paid up all my accounts, and had literally 38 bucks in my pocket with plastic, of course. Got on the wrong bicycle and just the wrong stuff. Having no clue, but I just knew I had to do it. And I got on a bicycle, and then 5 years later, do you remember when I said the 38 Rand wasn't a good investment to management? So look what happens. Return on investment over 5 years. So I've reached 36 million reach. That's in terms of people who've heard about me through different platforms. And 12.2 million in PR value. What that means is, so I've been on DSTV, Supersport, in newspapers, magazines, podcasts, radio interviews, you name it. So, for instance, if you are a Kwai retail owner and you want to advertise on TV for 2 minutes or 10 minutes, it will have a Rand value, PR value. So everything over the last 5 years equates to over 12 million. I've been made brand ambassador for top brands like Garmin, Falk, and Nutricia, and Drip Drop, and they've recognized me. But most importantly is it's the feel-good feeling. I'm getting to do this, and I'm getting to do positive things for the world through my experiences, raising funds and awareness for Missing Children South Africa and for Century Wellbeing as their brand ambassadors. And then in 2019, I was very honored and blessed to be awarded the Purple Heart of South Africa for my humanitarian work. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. And I guess if you want to box me, I'm a professional adventurer now. That's my job title. And I get to do life coaching, and I get to do some motivational talks, and hopefully I inspire and shift, and just something resonates within you, and maybe just gives you that little spark. And I'm now the founder of the Centropy Extreme program, where I'm able to take extreme challenges, taking corporates on these journeys as well. So I've created that as well. And of course, there are book opportunity along the way. So, having 38 Rand, getting on a bicycle 5 years later, look where I've come with just 36 Rand or 38 Rand in my back pocket. So imagine what you can do with 38 Rand. So I guess the thing is, no matter what happens in your life, our fears are flags. They normally are there to tell you, don't do that, don't go there. But the thing is, whenever in your life you are feeling really challenged or afraid, and you're getting these butterfly feelings, please move into it. Don't move away from it. Because fear is positive. Fear really tells us what we must do. And sometimes taking the road less traveled has the most amazing reward thereafter at the end. So I'd like to say thank you, guys. Thank you for your time, and I hope I've just sort of inspired you in one little way. And thank you so much. And if you'd like some Q&As, there's a mic over there, and I think there's one down there as well. Thank you.